It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the SMSU Mustangs head women's golf coach, Coach Ross Webskowski. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me on today.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in women's golf?
Yeah, actually probably started back in high school. I played a lot of different sports. I grew up in a small town, and you just had to be involved in a lot of different activities in order for the school to kind of run. And so, growing up in a sports family and playing lots of different sports, I just had a passion for coaching, and I had the ability to coach when I was in high school, Little League, and just really, playing it all your life, you kind of, I think that's just what it is. But then when I got into the coaching and seeing how it could impact other people, really enjoyed that. And from that moment on, I just knew when I was going to make a college choice, it was going to be impacting on where I could go to be a college coach. And to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter as far as what sport. I was really I did research in high school to figure out how to become a college coach. And so I decided to take the route of not necessarily playing in college, but starting as a student coach when I went to college, and found that Division II seemed to give you the best opportunities right away, just because they don't have as much staffing and things like that. You're going to get an opportunity to kind of learn firsthand when that happens. And so that's kind of how I got into it.
What was it like for you to, as you said, you didn't go through being an athlete, you went straight from going from college to getting into coaching?
Yeah, I think now that I've been in it and seeing it, I think there are multiple different ways. And one of them is to just kind of go right into it and kind of earn your stripes as far as coaching goes and put in your time. The other is to be a player and kind of build those relationships and earn some of that and learn through being a player. I was fortunate to be able to come to Southwest Minnesota State right away and have some great coaches that were willing to let me come on. And, being a college student and coaching people at your same age, and that was certainly a challenge at the time. It was still part of being athletics, and you're trying to find your role. But certainly was exciting, but a lot of learning through those first few years.
What was it like getting your first start as the assistant men's basketball coach?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for me. And like I said, I could coach, a lot of different sports because I have passion for those. And once you kind of get into it, coaching's coaching. And I think the one thing is I really love the atmosphere of men's basketball and the competitiveness, and just being able to see the impact that you can have on lots of different people, and the connections and the networks that you have. And I think we had a lot of success as a team, and we coached a lot of good players, but I had lots of great mentors through that. And I think whether it's for men's basketball or life in general, or how they shaped how I am today, I'm very fortunate to be able to be on that staff at SMSU as a men's basketball coach.
What was the transition like from going from men's basketball to coaching as the head women's golf coach?
There's certainly some differences. It probably wasn't as big as what some people would think on that. As far as once you kind of have a knack for coaching and understanding how to teach and motivate and put people in the right position, I think that you can kind of any sport and kind of that you're going to have to find the differences between the sports and what's kind of unique to that, and what, kind of studying the game, what the best players do, what the best coaches do, what are they doing for practice, how are they motivating, how are they recruiting, those types of things. You kind of learn it as you go. I think, the differences between coaching a male and a female, there's certainly some differences there. I think one of the things I saw right away is, on the male side, it wasn't so much trying to instill confidence in them. It was trying to kind of rein that in. They never saw a shot that they didn't like, on the basketball court. No matter if they were 0 for 10, they think they're going to make the 11th one. And on the women's side, you have some that, they have the confidence, but it's still one of those, they're looking for the feedback of, yeah, you're still good. You're talented. Believe in yourself. You're doing all the right things. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest differences in the transitions of seeing that. So.
How is that like, obviously going and helping compete in tournaments as a coach?
Yeah, on the tournament aspect, it's really different on the golf side of things, is because you're not necessarily, your opponent is the golf course, and you're trying to your practice round, and kind of having a game plan and seeing that as far as what are you going to try to attack that day. And even though you're competing against other teams, it's really about yourself, and the golf course and how you're going to stay true to yourself. I think as a coach out there, you're really trying to provide support for your girls, and everyone handles it a little bit differently. I think there's some that you're going to talk serious about golf. Some of it you're talking about what the weather, anything but golf. It's just they're looking for a little support. They're looking for some familiar faces out there, and try to keep them calm as they're going through the competition.
Of course, in 2004, what was it like in your first season going to the tournament and going to the qualifying?
Yeah, I think I had the advantage of kind of transitioning from the men's basketball to women's golf. Our head men's basketball coach was also our head women's golf coach at the time. And so when I was assisting him, he kind of allowed me to kind of get into the whole golf thing as kind of unofficially, as I was the assistant men's basketball coach. And I think, they had kind of built a good success with our women's golf, and we had a good team that year. And I think it was very unique in the fact of you have the individual aspect going on as well as the team aspect. And we wanted to get our team to the national championships, and we were one team or one slot away from going there. And we had a senior that had kind of been there, done that, and we actually had one of our freshmen kind of come on and play well, I believe, that year. And it was one of those, we just came up short as a team, but we had an individual that was able to go on to the national championships.
What was that like, having two individuals go on to the national championship during your time?
Yeah, I think each of them was unique. I think we've had three different ones at different points that have went on. Laura Lumbaum was kind of the one who kind of changed our program in women's golf. She was here before I started, but then I kind of took over when she was ending, and she was able to go to the national tournament, and she was just competitive, put a lot of passion into this, and really shaped our program to what it was today. And then Erin Oakland was the freshman when Laura was a senior and was able to go on. Erin was probably a little bit different. She was kind of small town, more of a basketball player. She played dual sports at SMSU and really didn't know her capabilities of golf. She liked it, but she really didn't know at that point how good she was. And so that was kind of eye-opening for her to go down there and see that, which really shaped her career after that. And then Krista Weishar, I think, went in 2012. And that was a situation where our team had a really good shot of going to qualify for national championships. With 9 holes to go, I think we were in position, and then there was a rain delay, and we just we didn't come out of the rain delay very well. And Krista was able to play well. The rest of our team struggled at that point, and she was able to qualify. And great experiences to go to the national championship. To be honest with you, I think the biggest thing, having individuals go there, it's a great experience for them, but every single one of them came back saying, we need our team to go. This would be so much fun if our team was here to experience this. And I think that's one of our goals every single year, is to get our team to the national championships.
Can you talk about a course to culture that you've built for the SMSU golf program?
Say that again?
Can you talk about a course to culture that you've helped build?
Yeah, the culture, some of it's background of myself and kind of, smaller town. Really love SMSU where I'm at, and trying to fit our community and our campus. And a lot of it has to do with, I like to have multiple sport athletes in high school. I just think the competitiveness that they find, the team chemistry, the importance of that whole team bonding, is something is you're going to try to recruit people who fit that mold. And to be honest with you, once you get the right people in place, they're going to be a big part of creating that culture. It can't be coach driven. It needs to be player driven, but it's putting the right pieces in place, and having people who maybe they don't have to be best friends, but they have to be able to get along, and they have to have the same goals, same passions, and same, drive to what they're trying to achieve. And I think a lot of it has to do with, if you enjoy being around the people that you like, you're going to be better at it. If you enjoy what you're doing, you're also going to be better at it. And I think we try to have fun, we try to enjoy it, and hopefully the results will take care of themselves.
What does a typical golf tournament look like?
So most of our tournaments are going to be a 2-day tournament with a practice round before that. So we don't always play the same courses, and so we'll go to a course the day before the tournament, kind of take a practice round. We're not necessarily concerned about score or how we're playing. It's really just scouting out the course. And then the first day of the tournament usually is 18 holes. So you're going through that and you're playing, and they intermix teams. So you're probably playing with 2 or 3 other different teams, and kind of go through that. And then day 2 is going to be another 18 holes. So a total of 36 holes that you would kind of add up your score. And the second day is going to be the pairings will be based off of the first day results.
Who are some of the teams that you face in your conference?
Yeah, we have the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference has 16 member institutions. I believe there are 13 that are sponsor women's golf right now. One of the teams that's been very good recently is Augustana University. They've went on a run, and we have a lot of the Minnesota State colleges. So Minnesota State Mankato, Winona State, Minnesota State Moorhead, Bemidji State. We have the University of Minnesota Crookston. We have a couple of North Dakota and University of Mary and Minot State. We have Upper Iowa University, and then Wayne State College in Nebraska. I think are most of our conference schools that we have. Augustana University is in South Dakota, and University of Sioux Falls, I guess, would also be in there as well.
What's that like, obviously playing teams in your conference that are always competitive each year?
Yeah, I think golf is a little bit different than all the other sports, is we don't necessarily have a conference schedule. And I think we have the ability to kind of schedule how we want. And so we put a lot of our stock into regional scheduling. And so the teams that are going to be in our region as opposed to just in our conference. So we'll see a lot of our conference teams at some of those, but we're also going to see some that are outside of our conference. It's unique in golf in the fact that you could be playing the same teams every single week, all year long. And I think when you're looking at all the other sports, you play that team maybe once, twice, or 3 times throughout the year, but you're having variety. We might be playing the same people, we're just at a different location. The team certainly gets to know each other, and you get to know the other opponents that you're playing against and some of that. So the sportsmanship and the camaraderie between teams certainly is probably stronger than any other sport that you have, just because of the nature of the sport, but then also just the familiarity that we have because we play each other so often.
Of course, do you play non-conference teams such as Nova, Stanford, and UCLA? And what is that like playing those non-conference teams?
Yeah, we will certainly play out of our conference. A lot of them, like I said, are in region, which our region kind of extends. We have the Division II conferences from, if you take the Dakotas and Minnesota and you go straight down to Arkansas and Oklahoma, most of the D2s that are in that area are going to be a lot of the teams that are going to be in our region. So we'll face a lot of those. And I think it's good to see different competition. As far as, you mentioned a couple of Division Ones, we don't see them a whole lot. To be honest with you, we have not scheduled a Division One opponent for a while. Some of the Florida teams we will see at different points. We typically will see them in the spring. The weather in the north at this point isn't great. And so we will have to go south to travel and find some teams. And so we'll see some of those teams at that point. Whether it's California, Texas, the Florida teams, they're traditionally very good teams. We love to have good competition. We love to have our players have experience to go see what the best players are doing. And to be honest with you, I think we come back and we see that they're not much different than what we are. I think when you look at it and you're like, oh, they're really good and they play year round and they're ranked at this. But when you actually get on the course and you start playing and you start talking with them, they're the same as us. They make less mistakes. But for the most part, I wouldn't say there's a big glaring difference between our team and some of those teams.
What are some of the things that you've accomplished as a golf coach?
I think probably the biggest thing and some of the reasons why I'm in coaching is just the influence that you have on student athletes, not just on the golf course, but really in life. I think the joy I get is watching them come in as freshmen with a lot of energy and a lot of questions, thinking that some of it they maybe know all of it, and really not knowing what they want to do with their life, and seeing them the maturation of them throughout the 4 years or 5 years that they're in college. And then, to be honest with you, a lot of the joy is to see them when they're alums and they got a job and they become mothers and they are going through the parenting and seeing some of the things they are being able to relate to. Well, Coach, that's why you kind of touched on that. I appreciate you doing this. I think those are things that I value just as much as anything else. And I think one of the things is obviously we try to teach life lessons through golf. I think life lessons teach you a lot about golf. And I think when you look at the accomplishments, I hope that I'm leaving a positive influence on all of our student athletes that come through our program.
What are some of the game day traditions that you have helped implement on the golf side?
Yeah, as far as I don't know if we have any necessarily traditions. I think one of the things is we do want to represent ourselves and looking first class, our uniforms have changed from when I started to just kind of the look of how when we get to a tournament and how we are viewed. I think that we've improved that throughout the years. And a lot of that comes from what our student athletes have said. Hey, Coach, we'd like to do this. We'd like to look at that. As far as the traditions, I just think trying to be consistent on what we believe in and who we represent all the time. I just think that people know what to expect when they see SMSU golf. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. I don't know if we have any, crazy traditions. Each year you have a little bit your team's going to rally behind and they kind of go with that. I think that's good. Each team needs to have a rallying cry or some type of tradition that they're going to do. But a lot of it is what is our value system? And to be honest with you, if you've come through SMSU golf, whether you did it in 2004 or you did it in 2022, a lot of the same things are probably going to be valued. And they can probably have a similar, story to tell about their program.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college golf?
Yeah, there's certainly lots of opportunities for women's golf at all kinds of different levels. And I would say that, if someone wants to play college golf, there's a place for them, especially on the women's side. There's probably more spots than what there are people to go into it. And hopefully, the game is growing and people are doing that. But I think, to be honest with you, for recruits, you have a couple different ways. Obviously, if you're going out there and you're playing in some high level competition, whether it's at the high school state tournament or you're playing some junior golf, those types of things, I think you're going to be able to be seen if you're being able to present good scores. The other thing is you got to, sell yourself. You got to reach out to coaches. You got to let them know who you are, kind of your scores, give them some of the information. And I think you're gonna have a variety of different ways to be recruited. And some of it is by performance, and then some of it is how are you going to be able to relate and reach out to coaches to get your name out there, which will kind of get your foot in the door, and then you got to kind of perform after that.
What are some of the things as a head coach that you look at in these potential recruits when going on the road?
As I kind of said before, it's one of those, we need people that are going to fit into our what we're about. And some of that is academically. Do they fit what SMSU has, educationally? And does it fit, our community, the size and distance from home and all those outside factors before we even get into the golf? Are they going to be happy here? And is this something that they enjoy? Because if they don't like the size of our community, if they don't like how far away it is from home, or it's too close to home, or we don't have their academic program, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter what happens on the golf course. Those things aren't going to be able to, not affect you. And so we got to make sure that we find that. We do want someone that's going to fit in with the current team that we have. And so I think we love to have people who are, leaders out on the campus, academically, good students. So we don't have to worry about some of those distractions. We do like people that have played multiple sports. I kind of mentioned that before. They don't have to do that in college, but as far as in high school, just having the ability to be in a pressure situation and being on a team and understanding what the dynamics of that are, we certainly look at that. And then for us, we've been successful finding people who have a lot of ability that maybe haven't had the experience to compete at a high level. And they have a lot more potential to go, and they maybe don't know where that's at. So they might just be a sheer athlete who can hit a long ways, or they can hit the ball really well, but they don't have the course management. They don't have the short game. We feel like we can make the biggest gains by trying to take someone who fits that kind of mold.
What does the official visit look like for prospective student athletes looking to go to SMSU?
A lot of it depends on kind of what the prospect and her family are kind of looking for. We're open to helping them however that looks. As far as depending on how far they're coming away, is that we can certainly set up a hotel and get them set up to spend the night, take care of their meals and things like that. For the financial piece of things. But what we're trying to get them to do is get them on campus and just experience it. See the campus when it's, in regular flow, to see what that looks like, to get them in front of our team in a, not a structured situation. It's more of a casual situation where they can feel free to ask questions, where they can express different things, where our team can ask them questions. And we don't necessarily script what our golf team is going to ask the prospective student athletes. I really want them to kind of gauge that. And do they fit in? Is it easy? Some of them are going to be really nervous. And so that's not what we're necessarily concerned about. It's, do you see them? Do they fit in? And do they want the same things that you want? And do you want them as your teammate? And so we certainly will do that. We'll show them the different facilities, kind of touch on how they fit into our program. Ultimately, any prospective student athlete wants to see how do they fit into this program, and where do we see them fitting in, and what expectations do we have for them, and then how are we going to make them better? I think ultimately, as much as they could be really good, they all want to get better. And we have to show them the roadmap of how we're going to be successful individually and as a team.
Of course, what is it like as a head coach seeing them put on that polo shirt and represent SMSU?
Yeah, I take great pride in our logo and our school colors. I think our team kind of jokes we don't necessarily have the best school colors, as far as popularity with brown and gold. I tell them I love it because as soon as we get to the golf course, everyone knows who we are. And coming back to our is we want to represent ourselves and people know. We could have a normal color, it could be purple, and which team is that? They know who we are, hopefully by our actions, but also our school colors. And they need to take pride in that. They are representing SMSU, not just golf, not just our athletic department, but our university all the time, whether they're on the golf course, whether they are out in the community shopping, they're out there for entertainment, whatever the situation is, they're representing our school and they're ambassadors of that. And they need to take good pride in that. And I think when they put that on there, they need to certainly represent the Mustang.
What advice would you give those high school prospective student athletes looking to go into college being golfers?
Is if it's something that you have a passion for, certainly go after it. I think the ability to play college sports, I didn't necessarily do that, but I did it in a different way as far as coaching. Just being a part of a team or a group that has similar interest levels adds to your college experience. And we get the question of, well, I just want to focus on academics. I don't want to take too much time. To be honest with you, high school kids, you are very structured, and you have a lot of things, and your time management is prescribed for you. There's a lot of free time in college, and as much as you want to focus on academics, you might, because you don't have structure, it's hard to stay on task. Being in college athletics is going to force you to keep that time management skills and to stay structured. And then just the experience to be able to do a passion that you have, playing the sport of golf, doing it with a whole bunch of friends, you get instant friends and network of people. I would say go for it if you have the passion for that, I think. And then it's a matter of finding the right fit for you academically and then athletically. Is it the team that fits you? Is it a coach that fits you? All of that, because it can be a rewarding experience.
What advice would you give those future college golfers looking to go from playing college golf to professionally, whether it's on the amateur level or the LPGA tour?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. The passion for the game has to be there, and the dedication. Obviously, going from college, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and at any level, going from high school to college, it's a step up in every aspect of it. And now you're going to go to professional, or even if you're going to go high amateur, it's another level to, even if you were the best college golfer, when your livelihood becomes on it, or you're going against older, more experienced people, that it's probably more mental than anything. And then just the repetition that it's going to take to be consistent. You're going to have to put in the work, the physical skills to be able to trust your game when the pressure's on the situation. Because you're going to go back to old habits when you're in a pressure situation, and have you put in the work to be able to do that? And then mentally, can you handle the grind? You got into this because you have a passion for golf. At that point, you got to be able to remember why the passion is, even though you're doing a long time, and you're going to have a lot of ups and downs with that. And trying to keep a level head, I think, is probably the biggest thing.
What advice would you give future college coaches looking to get started and become head coaches? And then what advice would you give people looking to go coach at their alma mater like you did?
Yeah, I think the getting into coaching, it's one of those you have to have a passion for it. And I think the only way is you got to try it. If you think that you have a passion for it, you certainly got to go try it. And everyone's going to give you different opportunities. The one thing is I think you really got to make sure that you're learning from as many people as possible. And not just in your sport. You need to be asking other coaches The one thing I really love about our athletic department is I could be asking the basketball coaches, the volleyball coaches, the football coaches, softball, just go through the offices. They're dealing with the exact same situation. The terminology might be different, but they know what that's going to be. And you need to get as many people that want to help you as possible. And I think when you get into coaching, if you show passion and your commitment, and you're doing it for the right reasons, you're certainly going to be successful. If you're worried about how much time you're putting in and how much you're going to get paid and some of that, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you that college coaching is probably not for you. Some of that can help, but a lot of the driving force has to be the impacting the student athletes, the relationships that you're going to build, and how you're going to make them better. And if you're able to do that and not worry about who's taking the credit and how much work went into it and all those types of things, you'll be very successful. But you gotta put in the time, and you gotta be a team player. People will notice you if you're able to put in hard work. You have a passion, you want to be able to help people. And I think you got to be able to trust that things will take care of themselves if you do that.
What advice would you give those people looking to coach at their alma mater like you did?
Yeah, I think it's probably maybe a little bit different if you played on that team and then you're going to come back and coach some of your teammates. I didn't necessarily have that situation. I think depending on your situation there, it's a little bit unique. Other than that, I think if you still have that passion, you're going to see it in a different role. You're going to see as you move up, whether you're an assistant coach and then you become a head coach and maybe you move up from there. Each role, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to learn a little bit more about your university. And I just remember why you chose that, and what type of experiences that you had, and what do you want those that are experiencing it while you're coaching having. And I think the student athlete experience is a huge part of that. And if you enjoyed your student athlete experience at your school, well, then how can you make that for your players to have that as well?
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the SMSU Women's Golf Program at?
Yeah, we have our program has Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all going to be at SMSU Golf, and I would say that that's our best social media aspect. Our athletic website does a very good job of keeping up with us as well at SMSUMustangs.com.
Thank you again, Coach Ross Webskowski, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at SMSU as the women's golf coach.
Thank you for having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Ross Webskowski, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.